2 minutes. Hey, right there you go, mate. One minute. Hey, Josh E. PK, favourite Chewy. NK. Improve my pay. Simon Powell. Let me bring that ambience down. Matty man. Hey team, how we going? It is Kaz from In the Trenches with Kaz, and I'm with you tonight to have a conversation, one that may not be having, one that has been overtaken actually by what seems to be entertainment, the demise of one side over the other, online, monetized, ads thrown in, like it is in modern day Colosseum. For this stream tonight, to have the clarity to look at what the message is and the difference between the center of gravity of Russia, of Ukraine, of NATO, and there's difference in all three of those, you have to think of someone who is 15 years old today in the Ukraine, 15 years old today in Russia. The longer this goes on, the tentacles of hope or hopelessness might be reaching out to grab you and bring you into the fold. Very, very scary. There is no romance in this, and we know of people that are there right now that realise in the first couple of days this ain't Kansas. Anyway, we're going to have this conversation. Dave Penson is speaking from NAM. We've got Mr. or Mrs. Price. G'day, mate. Okay, Simon's done a fantastic job. Now, he's lost more weight than a Colombian that's been caught peddling his wares across the Dutch from Cuba. But that's not what it's about tonight. Tonight is all about the potential of the red pill / blue pill. Are we getting told a convenient truth? And does it affect us? Doesn't it affect us? Are we getting told our economies have gone to shit at the same time we're sending material and money to foreign countries other than just Ukraine, while thinking to ourselves, couldn't that be spent in our home countries? And if we're going to go in, let's roll the dice and go hard and go in, not as part of NATO, not a part of AUKUS. And I'm saying this about any country, but someone who would look at this as two people fighting in the street and say, this is not on, it's got to stop. And the dickheads that are stuck in this, which is Putin, Zelensky, and Biden, there needs to be something done about it, because calmer heads are either one, not prevailing, or two, it's deliberate. And we'll get to that today. Good to see you. We've got a whole bunch of names in here. Hey, Kristen, how you going, mate? Good to have you here. It's always good to have the ladies representing here, so it makes it look like it's not just a how to pick up chicks channel. Joshy Fawns, the Romans. Got to love the Romans. They taught us a lot. They always get back up again. Dave Penson, all the way from Vietnam, as we discussed. Nicole is proud of Simon, so are we. Amazing. Simon, well done, yep. Tony Sergio, it's been a while, mate. Great to have you here. TS, top secret. Mr. Price. Oh, the price is right. And below you, we've got with a New Zealand accent, Lizzie Callahan. Good to see you here, Lizzie. And I'm not trying to be rude there. Guys and gals, hey Sue, how you going? Suey Mockton, it's been a long time. Last time I saw you, you were in hospital and we were visiting you. I hope you're well, love. Smokey B, B Smokey. Run around, Sue. I've known a few of those. Matt Man, armies down the south coast now training soldiers, been marching the streets of my little town. Never seen them here before. There we are. Seems like there's a bigger emphasis on Army Reserve these days to try and get those signatures on paper early. Oscar Manning Oscar. It's such a tricky subject because NATO shouldn't have backed Russia into a corner. I agree. And Russia shouldn't have started a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. I don't think they thought it was going to happen that way. I thought they thought it was going to be like the Minsk agreement in 2014. They're going to roll straight in and take countries like areas like Odessa that is predominantly almost 100% Russian speaking on the ocean there. I'm sitting right on the fence on this one, mate, and I'm glad you are, because so am I. The modern day tragedy is not just Ukraine, it's also Russia. It's the truth. It is the Western world's inability to step in. You know, there is so much tragedy here. Hey, Wasp, how you going, mate? Good to have our naval veterans here as well. Smoking B, everyone's doing well, going really good. Off to Europe in July. Where to? Shipped into reserves for a while. That's fine. That's fine, mate. Have a good time. Make sure you do the legwork. Our phones can get us in a lot of trouble these days if we don't have it set up to travel. I've just got back from India, as you know. We're about to have videos come out tomorrow and also on Sunday and potentially Monday as well. Not all about India, but a lot about it. And what did Kaz buy? What was his big purchase that he was nervous to tell even his own mum and dad at 52 years old almost? You're about to find out. And I have no regrets. That's what she said. But it's got to be cool here, a World War Timor vet talk on the subject. But it's going to be cool to hear a World War Timor. Mate, I'm not looking at this from a Timor one. I'm looking at this from a point of view of someone who worked in tactics and leadership division and understands that, you know, my concern goes for the little guy, the little girl, you know, not for the politician. Whatever happens to them, so be it. Hey, Basie, how you going, mate? Afternoon, everyone. Lockie W. Hey, Cash, finished my PFA. Just waiting for my enlistment date now. Lockie, that's what it's all about. Let's have a call. Get it sorted. So great to see old and new names. Here it is. Brycey, good to see that you're still pedaling hard too, mate. Can we get some thumbs up for Brycey? He's doing a little bit hard in South Australia at the moment. I don't mean in the land of single mums. I'm talking about medically. Over a year now, Joshy. It's we've all got to get back on the horse, don't we, mate? Coach bought an inflatable date. Nah, I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it to myself or to my forefathers. But hey, let's have a look at it. So, as I've said, you know, while you're thinking about liking at the moment, I don't even think it makes any difference if you press a like button. So, do or don't, it's fine. But we don't think we're getting told the truth. You know, we know there's more to this. We know if you follow the money, you're going to see that there was a heavy connection to the Biden regime, so to speak, prior to and with Hunter, prior to this incident occurring. And I believe if Donald Trump was in now, none of this would have occurred at all. And the stock markets would be back up. People's 401ks in USA would still be sitting pretty. And the ASX in Australia would still have people with their superannuation not getting bashed to buggery like it's currently happening. Shane B will be an interesting chat, Kaz. It will be, mate, because I think about this all the time. And it really stood out while I was in India when the TV 24/7, whether it be France 24, whether it be the YouTube channels, etc., are just regurgitating daily casualty rates, which at the moment have been pushed, and they believe there is somewhere greater than 100,000 on both sides in just over 1 year of conventional conflict. You can't compare this to Afghanistan. This is more in tune with World War II. And we're seeing the trench warfare, you know, happening every day. New releases around Bakhmut, which is basically the Alamo at the moment. It really is a meat grinder. That team is a piece of shrapnel, okay, from the charge of Beersheba. For those that know about the Western Trenches over in Israel, where the Commonwealth forces got rid of the Turk. And while we're talking about the Turk, let's also bow our head of respect for all those that have lost their lives over there as well. I think it was more about building standards or lack of more than an earthquake, to tell you the truth. But the result was the same, and my heart is full for all. Righto. So you need to look at this from the point of view of someone who is 15, who is hearing the information that this is going to, one, be prolonged, continue on, and that sooner or later you're going to have not just the fog of war, you're going to have the clarity, you're going to have potentially PTSD even before you get to the front. Knowing that it doesn't matter what you think about this conflict, you're going to get taken away from a first world country against your will and then pushed over, whether you be Russian or whether you be defending from Ukraine, unable to leave because of your gender, and you're going to be pushed into the fight regardless of the fact that you may be the only son, continuation of your family name. And for what? I don't think we know. But I can tell you what, there is 3 people that are stuck in Ukraine right now. 1, Zelensky. If he tries to give up, they'll tear him to pieces. Okay, they'll tear him to pieces, his own people. Okay, we've got Putin, who's stuck in there, who underestimated the fight, the resolve, the tenacity, the bravery of those fantastic fighters who feel silent on the Ukraine front. Amazing effort they're putting in there. Amazing. Okay? We've looked at Biden, who is completely stuck in there financially, has now spent more money in just over a year in giving to Ukraine, okay, than what he spent in 25 years or 20 years in Afghanistan. Now, the toll of fallen soldiers and wounded in Afghanistan was nearly 25,000 for the USA. But now we're seeing it's over 100,000 for the Ukraine and over 100,000 for the Russians, well over. And it's, instead of hitting away, it's actually ramping up. Now, can someone tell me, someone look up on Google and type in here, what is the population of Ukraine? So I don't have to ask Siri right now myself. What is the population of Ukraine? Because I found this on the web right now myself. It's the population. Check it out. Thank you, Siri. I know almost half of the population of Ukraine has said we ain't coming back to Ukraine. Now, I understand that if you put the line down through the main arterial river that cuts through Ukraine, the east is in perpetual battle while the west is not. So you've also got a Queensland / New South Wales situation there that is going to become a terrible, potentially civil war within Ukraine itself when this is over. When the first question anyone asks you when they meet you is, who did you fight for? You better hope you fought for someone. Because if you didn't fight for the defense of Ukraine, how are you going to ever be accepted by the family of the daughter whose father and brothers did, or when you go for a job? But how does someone ever also come back from working on the front where for the first time in their life they were pat on the back, they had celebrity status as a defender of Ukraine, and now go back and just be someone else on payroll in Sector B, with perpetual wounds that are never going to heal, mentally and physically. Thank you very much, Ryathan. 43.7 million. Right. Fantastic. Wish Trump was in power. He'd have sorted this out, and he said that one of the first things he wants to do is ring Putin, and then he wants to ring Zelensky, and he's going to let them know they've got 24 hours to sort this shit out, or he's going to get involved. Now, it's not fair that the most mocked country in the world is America, while at the same time America is the world's bayonet-carrying paramedic for all world problems, and also the most amount of money that goes towards where the bleeding is occurring. I can't stand the way people pile on top, and then gloat over the bones of those that actually do something. Now, this is a bit of a sensitive subject because we've got people from Australia, from UK, and from some organisations and some friends that I've got that are friends of friends that went to Ukraine, and they've said that basically after, in their first week, this is not what we expected, and already having regrets about being there. Is the Ukraine-Russia conflict already over? Is this just a convenience of NATO at the moment? Let's look at what the center of gravity would be. Where do the people of Russia, of Ukraine, of NATO derive their ability to continue on? Let's have a look at that, because that used to be my job to work that out. Okay, I'd say with the Ukraine, their center of gravity would be assistance. They know, history says, in their situation, if you do not get external assistance, i.e. NATO, AUKUS, ANZUS, or USA by itself, they cannot win this. Cannot win. So their center of gravity is to bring in someone. And we're seeing Zelensky try his goddamn hardest for that. Russia, I believe it's momentum of the message, and momentum of the ground. They need to take ground, because at the moment they're losing face amongst their own people as the news piles back in. And when you've got to use propaganda on your own people, you're in big trouble. Maybe their center of gravity is their ability to prevent the actual message from getting to theirs and stopping a revolt. NATO, I believe their center of gravity would be a reduced Russia, and they don't care how it's done because their feet aren't on the ground. That's what I believe is happening with them. So if you look at it from that point and you follow the money, we're seeing now that the Russia, Ukraine, NATO is a lot deeper, and it's a lot bigger than the lives and those that love those that are on the ground that have a PM keys, regimental number or equivalent, probably getting underpaid. And g'day Timmy, how you going, mate? Timmy Cartwright, Freddie Cars, how you going? I also think that the fact that Zelensky's not asking for, and the countries aren't providing paramedic services to both sides of the fight, I think that is very unusual. Because that would be something that would be fair. World organisations sending hospital, makeshift battlefield hospitals support. Because what we're hearing at the moment about the Russians on the ground, it is absolutely heartbreaking to hear about them dying, freezing as the winter's starting to dissipate and it's becoming a quagmire. And those that are getting wounded are being left behind completely. That's disgusting. So, is the fight over? But no one's told the combatants yet. So the bravest of the brave of the Ukraine will continue to fight. They will continue to fall. But they won't know why. Is their wife ever coming home again? Will they ever see their children again? Is this but the start of a 10-year conflict? Hey, Vickers, how you going, mate? Vickers Sharma? Could you do with a naan bread now? I could. Heavy in butter. And that's going to be in the video tomorrow too. What about Russia? They would be shitting themselves. They're not even allowed to have an opinion. And if you do have an opinion, guess what? You're going to get Andrew Tated. You're going to get put in the front line the next muster. There's no way around it. Okay. Is it time for the countries to step up and go, that's it. This is enough. You go that way. You stay where you are. Ceasefire. Bring them to the table with a or else. But that would be under the impression that NATO, which was organised completely for the a response to the spreading and the expansion of Russia. So I don't think they want this to end. You've got the poorest country in Europe, Ukraine, they're fighting Russia. To them it's a win-win. Will there be anything left of the Ukraine to fight over? Oscar Manning, an Australian YouTube channel called Boy is a really good video on this situation called Ukraine, the Avoidable War. Gives a good perspective on this situation. It does. And I think what we're getting is stuck in the woods there, Oscar, that we honestly thought this was about the reasons we thought it was about. Okay, there's a lot bigger players in this, and people benefiting. If you follow the money, you'd see where it is, and that was where it comes to: red pill, green pill, blue pill. Bam. Oops. Here we are. Okay, Nicole, my heart breaks for both the citizens of Ukraine and Russia. It does for me too. Joshy Fawn's the gulag, he reckons. The thing that upsets me is the fact that people are starting to make entertainment now, as Lauren and I discussed earlier, gladiatorial entertainment out of the videos that are coming out on YouTube, TikTok, etc., that are showing the demise of Russian soldiers, like it's some sort of 180 when the dart hits the bullseye, dropped from a drone, taking the life of someone's son, someone's brother, someone's boyfriend, someone's husband, someone's only hope for the rest of their life. When someone gets injured, you've got to remember, or killed, you've got to remember there's a whole nucleus, okay, that is then affected. The tributaries of strife and grief has no end. I'm sorry to take this into a negative thing like this, but these important conversations must be had between adults if they are to reverberate across a population and find the ears of those that understand that it matters. Now, throwing money at this will do nothing. Smokey B, I highly suggest people do their own research and not believe everything the news tells you. Absolutely. I've seen many videos, news from Ukraine that the news would never show you. Yep. There's two sides of propaganda coming from both, that is for sure. And the last thing that Ukraine wants to do is print the real numbers of how many people are falling in Ukraine, of Western fighters, of their own fighters, because, man, good luck with your recruiting drive after that. Hey, Jenny G, how you going, mate? It's always about the money, says Carl P. It's like a marriage in a breakup. Follow the money. Show me the money. Pricey. Okay, just my opinion. If you look at history, the longer the fight lasts, the more chance Russia will win. Russia will win. They will. Because the only way Ukraine can win is if an outside agency comes in. Yep. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think Russia's going to keep pushing people at it. And they've got the bigger population. Right? There you go. Simply because the numbers are a tactic in themselves. Going back to Napoleonic invasion through to World War II, it's out of the Russian playbook. Exactly. PK, the Russians will grind out a win at least to hold the 4 provinces. I'm just wondering, PK, whether they have actually, because I don't think they're just after 4. They're not just after the Donbas regions. They need that. They definitely need to hold on to Crimea, but they need to get all the way over to Odessa, so they can, just the people they think that are Russians that are also on their side, but also those seaports that were traditionally always part of Russia. Oscar says, yeah, I think Russia will take the win if no countries put boots on the ground. Imagine how amazing some of the people are in Ukraine, the talent that is being lost, because they are doing what they are meant to do, and that's to provide as opposed to provide and protect for their families, for their country, for their freedom. Now, you can't ask them to do any more than that, and you can't ask someone to give up when their heart is in the fight and they think they have a chance. But unfortunately, sometimes when a man is down, he doesn't know it. Very proud of him. The first year Russia locked down, Russia looked down and out. I think it's because they tried to use the laws of armed conflict and realised they're not going to win that way. And now they're gone to something else. Bryce, I agree. Going by history, Russia has a slow start in the first year of every conflict, yes. But after the first year, they really pick up the pace. Yep, they get used to the losses. Zane! Bill Zane. Nicole, g'day Zane. Everyone loves Zane, except the duty board, which will always put him last. Team, another announcement. Looks like I'm going to be going down to Kapuka real soon. Not to go through again. I don't need the unhappy socks, but I'll be going down. It looks at this stage what it looks like for Aaron. Going down there for his the rural hunter from Townsville to go and watch his march out by invite. So that's a fantastic thing. And for those in 26 platoon, what's your cow? I'm coming your way. TC. Twice you agree going, but yep. Nicole, Timmy, because they have to push out all the incompetent generals who are in the place because of connections. Once they have the right people in place, they're a machine. I think they also get used to the bleeding, Timmy. Lenny Smurf, if Russia does win, I wonder how the world would react with Russian trade and its people. They'll forgive them very quickly. Look how quick we forgave China memory holding COVID. Remember that happened mysteriously at the same time that they couldn't get the people out of the streets in Hong Kong. Already forgotten. I talk to people in the street and they don't even know who Fauci is. Now people think they don't even question what happened in January 6th. Even though the videos are now showing from McCarthy releasing it, the people they said were being violent weren't, and all the people who were supposedly hacked down during what was they called insurrection, all these people are still alive, or died days later, or from something completely different, including natural causes. The life is not the way we think. Shane B, Russia will be allowed to win, Kaz. I lived in Ukraine. Here we go. Make no mistake, the people are united, both Russian and Ukrainian speakers, against Moscow. Absolutely. And I think that's why, Shane, and thank you very much for your comment, that people can realise that this is a Putin thing. It's not a against Russia thing. You know, just like after World War II, one of the first places Germans settled was Australia. We didn't hate the soldiers back and forth. You know, we hated the game. Annan, it's been a while. And not to do with Russia, but your thoughts on these reports of war with China within 3 years, potentially. I think if they had time to act, they would have done it by now, mate. And that would have been around Taiwan. You know, India is a lot tougher than China, you know, and they're ready for the fight. It's not going to happen. Wherever they spread, India spreads, you know, namaste. You know, USA at the moment, their forces are so depleted because of what's been happening since the Biden regime got in, that I think, you know, it's going to take someone like Trump to clean up that mess, to tell you the truth, and start to actually love his country. We're already seeing what's happening in Portland now that they've allowed people of colour to shoplift legally and say it's not a crime. Okay, Walmart has said, okay, we're done, we're out. And that's going to make those people suffer too. Sometimes your actions bring on the wrath of yourself. Except my point, Zane, another thing out of the Russian playbook, they have noticed they are dead either way. Well, if Putin gives any kind of, what would you call it? If he gives any sort of ground, he's going to get torn to pieces, and he knows that too. This is his last hit at the ball. Mr. Price, okay, so if I have my use session is on Monday, how long away do you think I'll be from getting to Kapuka? I'd plan on 2 to 3 months, mate. Now, what you should do, Mr. Price, is jump on the Patreon, you know, which is in the link below, so that you can get on the bat phone and you and I have a big conversation, and we'll sort out exactly what your yellow brick road looks like. And that goes for anyone else that wants to speak to this guy with no glasses on during the day, as I have a coffee or a Coke, using that sugar to inspire the conversation between myself and usted. Sorry, Kaz, that's Spanish. Kristen, hey Kaz, I marched out of Kapuka last Friday. Straight into a combat first aid course. Loving it. Best decision I've ever made in life. Kristen, the first aid course, especially the combat first aid course, is a fantastic continuation that gives you confidence. It's like boxing. Once you know how to box, don't listen to this guy. You know, I'm provided to give other people wins, but it gives you confidence in conversation. Yep, good on you. Good on you. Can we get some thumbs up for Kristen for her successful march out? What was your platoon number that, mate? Joshy Fawns, Kapuka 100, he reckons. It is great news. Kristen, well done and great achievement. Yep. You're going to Townsville. Please tell me you're going to Townsville. Cactus Jack's the land of. Smokey B, you should watch the video about the ex-US soldier that joined Ukraine in the fight and was a spy, then later fled to Russia to give them his information. I don't think they'd have any information to give, to tell you the truth. You know, they've got a centralised command system, which is their worst enemy. You know, and now we've got what looks like a bit of a civil war happening between conventional forces and Wagner Group as well. Timothy Cartwright, Russia have been firing up 60,000 artillery shells a day. They can produce more shells in a day than the whole of Eastern Europe can in 1 week. Yep, and USA has also told Ukraine that we have no ability to keep supplying you ammunitions and weapon systems with a surge effect. They can't do it at the rate they need it to protect themselves. Now, there is some really, really upsetting footage that's coming out that's showing just how desperately some of these valiant soldiers are fighting. And it's really hard to watch when you know that they're a family member too. Yeah. Joshy, I can't believe they let people steal in that state in USA who's supplying criminals. It's insane. It really is. There we go. Daz is here. I think we've got this video tomorrow dedicated to you, Daz. It'll only go for about 8 or 9 minutes, but I think you're going to enjoy it, mate. A little bit of reality, a little bit of a Daz. You need to travel sort of inspiration. Oh, wait, 43. Sheets over your back. Hey, there we go. Cameron, welcome to the Bear of Coffee. Not too cow. Can we get some thumbs up for Cameron there? Good, another member. And that's what you can do, team. And just so those that don't know, anyone that is a member, any donations, all of this is going to family, the Changing Lives family that we have now chosen from India. And we're going to try and purchase him. Well, I'm not trying to give too much away. Tuk, but also get 2 daughters married. And this is all going to have a culminating effect by 1st of July this year. Basie, you're getting out of control. This is twice you've done this now. He's just gifted 10 in the trenches with Kaz memberships. Guys and gals, if you have just been gifted a membership, he has just conscripted you into in the trenches with Kaz channel, which is a paid subscription that he's done to support the channel. Basie, not too cow. I always think Yahtzee when I see your name. Can we get some ultimate thumbs up there for Basie there? Because he's not doing this for him. He's doing it for you. It means that he believes the message we hear here is important enough, okay, that he wants you to stay. That's fantastic. So those went out to Epic Ed. Great name, by the way. If you're new here, team, let us know. Let us know. This is a channel where you have freedom of speech. Go hard. Declan, good name. Would scare the ladies. Sounds like a lawyer. Thomas334 was gifted a membership. Foxy was gifted a membership. Dylan Owen, 2 first names, always confusing in the army, was gifted a membership. Nuketown, too close to the conversation tonight, I was gifted a membership. Bryce Buck was gifted a membership. Hayelzik, sounds like a kind of vegan salad. Milton Farmers, Max Bigham, guys and gals. Lazy, that was beautiful. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much. Not to fucking cow. Conscripted members, right? It's true. It's what it is. Carl P. Hallway 41. He's living in the past now. Stop trying to get the points there, Carl. Look at that, all hands of colour. Varying hands that have been inside the ice cream bucket or the Ganges. Well done, mate. Well done. Okay, let's keep going on, shall we? And Basie, can we get some messages out to Basie as well? Because that's a very selfless thing. That's a namaste moment right there. And it's not his first time. Right, so where else? Where is there something like the Ukraine in the moment? Hey, Craig in the cloud. How you going, mate? Welcome, mate. If this is your first time here, thumbs up. What are your personal thoughts? Because they matter on the Ukraine, NATO, Russia conflict. You wish that you could hit all their heads together. So where else in the world is this happening at the moment? And mysteriously, it doesn't seem to matter because they don't have as cool a looking flag. There'd be areas in Asia. There'd be areas in Africa, for sure. Where is the other fights continuing on? And that's without even talking about the fights that are starting to happen with friendly Geordie, who will be getting some friendly fire soon by the sound of it. Hit the like button if you can, team, if it makes any difference. I don't know. Just got a notification then. Hey, Vickers. Vickers just joined us on Patreon. Well done, mate. You've just earned yourself a conversation tomorrow if you want to talk. Let us know, mate. I'll send a message to you in a moment. Yemen, perpetual state of violence. Mexico and the USA, mate, that is getting terrible. They've got to the stage now where there's some of the cartels are actually getting put on the list for terrorism. And I believe down there it's time that they could potentially, because it impacts USA directly, and Australia is also the most expensive and lucrative country in the world to send cocaine to. I think it'd be in our best interest to have special forces go in there and shake it up and get rid of some of those cartels with absolute, what would you say it? Aggression. We're seeing that Salvador has now just closed in on, was it MS-13 or 17? Now, they've done a really big job down there. William Elliott. G'day, mate. How you going? He always sounds like a man that's free to country. William Elliott. He wants his freedom. That was the first thing that came to my mind, Brady. I thought of William Wallace. Okay, yeah. I've just been following what was going on with Somali land conflict as well. And the weird thing was, we were only talking about Somaliland the other day, that because of their religious leaning, it was one of the safest countries not to be mixed up with Somalia. It was one of the most broken states. Craig, are you in Monkey Magic's cloud? There you go. Trippy darker all the way. What else we got? Your thoughts matter. Yep, your thoughts do matter, because when you have the microphone, when you have the ability to communicate, when you can write in comments, when the conversation fuse has been lit, this means that you can have that conversation, which again, as we said before, can reverberate between other people, get to the ears of those that matter, and it makes a difference. People need to know that we see the Russian soldier and the Russian family in many ways as much the victim as what we do the Ukrainian family. And that's why I do believe a coalition of the willing outside of NATO probably need to now go in there and go, this has got to end right now. Not for you, Zelensky, not for you, Putin, okay, not for you, Biden, but for the fact that if this was a fight that was happening between two people, by now either a policeman or security or a good Samaritan would have gone in there and either pulled it off, you know, or taken action, you know, and we would have put an end to that. You don't just let it keep going. Otherwise, we're dealing with savages, and this shouldn't be happening in today's society. Jane B, I left the Ukraine at the end of 2021. Holy shit, so not long ago. Couldn't get back to my wife when the war started, so brought her to Oz. Good. Thank you, mate, and you are welcome. Hearing people suggest a Russia win is very personal. My wife escaped by a whisker. Absolutely, Shane, and like we say, you are very, very welcome here, but I think, you know, at the moment, what they're using is the patriotism of those in the Ukraine against them. I don't think he's got a hope of winning there, because if you had had a chance, it would have been by outside agencies getting involved, whether that had been NATO, okay, or whether that had been the USA, you know, or others. You know, there's a whole lot of countries in Europe that have done nothing, you know, and they had the power to go outside of NATO to get this done. Now, we know that Ukraine couldn't go into NATO because you can't actually get into NATO while you're currently in a conflict with an external country. You can if you're in a civil war. Shane, whereabouts in Australia do you live, mate? Can we get some thumbs up for Shane at the moment? It must be terrible for him to be in a position to know all of those he loved, all of those he calls friends and family, are in a position of uncertainty, whatever comes next. So you've got a place here, mate. Feel free. If you need to jump on Patreon so you and I can have a conversation, mate, more than happy to tell you how welcome you are here. You know? Lauren, I'm very glad you are both okay. Shane, it's easy to lose the human element among everything in a Game of Thrones. It is the Game of Thrones. I think he's better than that ex-Major McBride. Now, I think the world is tired, mate. I don't think we've rebooted our system since COVID. You know, I think there's so much bullshit that is gravitating around the normal conversation, what you can and what you can't say. I think it's taken its toll, and I think people are tired. I think that's what's happening. Yeah. I think that's what's happening. So who's trapped? We've already said Zelensky's trapped. Putin's trapped. Both of them want to get out of this mess, and so does Biden. You know, Hunter dragged him into that and gave everyone, you know, that bit of transparency that this is a lot deeper tentacles than we expected. So what's the cure? Is it a Donald Trump that gets back in and says, no, I'm going to solve this problem? He's the only one. He's the only person I've heard at the moment say, I'm going to go in and I will be the cure to this problem. So if that's the case, by default, give him the mantle. Let him do it. In old times in Rome, if you were the politician, okay, and you had an existential threat to your country, community, your existence, then they basically told you, you can be dictator until this is done. And then when that's done, Marius had it over 6 times. He then handed it back and said, there you go, job's been done. George Washington did the same thing. And then they made him the president, first president. Oh, wouldn't he? Oh, I'd love to have Shane on an actual stream here. It'd be fantastic, mate. I think this would be a very personal thing for Shane. So I'd love to have a conversation with you first, see where you're at, and yeah, just remember that there's almost no willing participants in this fight. Okay? It's either a fight for desperation, or people have been pushed into this fight with propaganda and also basically kicked out of their bed and told you're going to now serve. It's a tragedy all across the board. It truly is. Okay, what else do we have here? So your thoughts matter. Tactics versus strategy. Tactics team is what you see is happening between Bakhmut and stuff like that. How they're going to do this? Are they going to use tanks? Are they going to use combined arms with infantry? Is this going to be a battle of attrition? Are they going to make that the Alamo? Does this have that Stalingrad emotional feel to it, where whoever wins Bakhmut is going to now have some sort of momentum in the next fight? Or is this a standing patrol that has set Russia up for the most catastrophic losses of conscription forces, by a committed, brave, battle-ready defense of the Ukraine once they go back into the higher plateaus as the weather goes against Russians? It's going to be big. What have we got there, Shane? I'm an Aussie from Melbourne. There you go. I have a deeper understanding of the situation. I have a deeper understanding of the situation. We'll have a chat. Absolutely, mate. Shane, and it's great for you to have an ear too, so that you don't feel like you're in Australia and like no one's listening because, everyone's got 100 topics. They've got no dog in the fight. Then sometimes it feels like no one cares. They do care, mate. They do. And all the best and prayers to your brethren back home for what they're going through and what's going to happen next. What else do we have? What should be asked? What is the questions that should be asked of Putin, of Zelensky, of Biden, and why haven't they been asked? I know Putin can't get Zelensky to the peace table for some reason. I know there's questions they should be able to ask of Putin. There's definitely questions they could ask of Biden. There's questions they could ask of Macron. There's questions you could ask of Germany, Poland, etc. What's happening? Are you waiting to take over the rest of Ukraine once the dust is settled? Who's going to pay for, if you don't help in the fight, then you should be helping for the restoration of the country once it's all over. Yeah. Guys, I'm just spitballing here. I don't have the answers. But I am putting the questions, I am putting the conversation on the table so we can speak about adult shit instead of TikTok. What was I going to say? Let's give Lauren a call. I know you can't hear her properly, team, but we'll ask her what her thoughts are on it. Yes, someone called None pledged to the Patreon. What? How do you respond to that? Hello, None. Anyway, thank you, None. What we're going to do is try to call Lauren now and see if she'll answer. She's a little bit, got a frog in her throat at the moment, which means she's not a vegetarian. Hello.
Hello.
How are you going, young lady? We needed a female's opinion.
I'm going good. I've got a bit of a cold. My voice.
That's okay. It's okay. Oh, we've got Dougie here too. Sorry, Lauren. Okay, it's just on my 15-minute break. I wanted to say hi. He's in the trucks at the moment. Trying to keep his laughing gear off a sausage roll that didn't do anything to him. I introduced him to hardcore history with Dan Carlin, and now he's addicted. And that doesn't mean he's gay, team.
That's great. There's a great crowd here tonight. It's a fantastic conversation, and the conversation's been really grown up. Good.
I've actually been very impressed with the amount of staying on the point there has been, and the fact that that goes to show that this is a important subject that affects us more than we realise.
Exactly. And here's the thing, if we can all stay on a subject, we've got a chance of hearing each other, even if we think differently. And
Yep,
that would change the world. And all stop being distracted by petty things and actually talk about stuff and listen to each other.
that's what she said.
But we have great conversations here, don't we?
We do. And when I use the evil eye, that one, Tim, that is not witchcraft that would have got me burnt, okay, back a couple of 100 years ago. Lauren, the reason why it's so good to have you here too is because there is a lady's perspective, and so often when men
Yeah.
talk about conflict, when we talk about combat, there is that feeling that because our name is on the draft, if it occurs,
Yeah.
that if we have served, that we have a voice in this fight, and that ladies are meant to keep out of it. But you know, at least when we go to training, when we go somewhere, we're surrounded by those. We're not alone in our ruminating thoughts like a lady can be with her children, thinking, "What do I do now?"
Yeah.
With provider and protector, taken at a time was not expected.
Exactly. I mean, I'm a little old-fashioned. I tend to think men's business, and I think that that's on quite a sacred kind of caveman primordial thing in us. And so I suppose a different perspective, definitely, probably a very ignorant perspective. So you'll have to excuse that.
That's okay.
I have a look. I usually end up with just questions. Even when they get answered, I end up with more questions. Like Jamie B talking about his wife just escaping. Gosh, I'm so glad he's here to tell us about it.
Yep.
It's amazing, and there's been so many stories like that. But it is worth remembering, like you said, it's a Russian playbook, and as much as I definitely love Russia not to, and that's how I feel.
Yep.
And I think, though, I still very much am pained with every Russian death
It is to
as
me too.
much.
Uh,
We've all seen those awful videos of what's happened to Russians who have considered to defect.
Look, what's going on, whether it be the Wagner Group or the conventional forces, we're going back to the times where there's almost the commissars that are waiting for you to try and head back in the opposite direction. And they've actually told the wives and the partners of those in Russia the only way your partner comes home is if he has an injury that's great enough that he can't keep fighting or heal.
Yeah,
So he's got two choices: come home incapacitated and crippled, or to stay
yeah,
and die and be left.
yeah, exactly. And this happens, doesn't it? We forget soldiers are
Absolutely. The soldier is the same as the guy that grabs the spear and runs out of the cave to defend against
exactly.
the bear or the lion.
I think we forget that in our supermarket packaged, neat, clean polystyrene world. I think we forget about it. We live in a bubble, and there's people in the world who don't have the wall that we have of our defence force.
It is true. Or the space that we have, the fact that we're so
That's true.
isolated.
Exactly. I had a question for you.
Yes.
Now, I again, probably very ignorant ways, but I see a lot of foreigners, no professional military experience, are great at the moment. Now, when there's a lot of cowboys versus professional soldiers, what sort of difference does that look like on the ground?
It can become a tactic of its own where it can give something that can't be combated, which means the wiliness, the rat cunning that someone can have that's had
Yeah,
absolutely no training
an
can
element of
can actually use
chaos.
art. But in saying that, people forget when you go into Ukraine that you don't get to choose what unit you go to. You turn up, you don't get to choose the leadership. You don't get to choose what part of the battlefield. And when I was thinking today, if I was a Ukrainian commander, wouldn't I rather lose a foreigner than a Ukrainian? So how do you know that you're not getting used as the meat grinder? Push those guys over there, the foreign forces. Sure, they'll do a good job, but I guarantee if I was a Russian soldier and I came across someone from Australia, Britain, Canada, New Zealand, etc., you wouldn't be getting taken prisoner. Because I could deal with a Ukrainian soldier. I'd say, okay, this guy's fighting for his homeland. I totally get it. And I'm sorry this has to happen. We could have been.
It's an awful thing,
Yeah.
isn't it?
But when I find that someone, but when you find out someone came from a peaceful country across the world, and this is what I say to people that want to go over there, you're going, just remember the perception of what it would be for a Russian soldier to find you, and that the American soldiers got found at Goose Green in the Falklands War in Argentina between Britain and Argentina. They took the Argentinians prisoner, but when they found those two Americans, they killed them on the battlefield. Yep.
Yeah, see,
you don't get to go home.
I have all these questions because it would introduce an element of chaos also, and I like what you said about abstract. That's something that I never thought of it as a tactic. So it could be an advantage, but also a disadvantage to both the person and the nation utilizing these tactics.
I just, what makes me feel sick is we use Daz for example. Imagine Daz went over there because of the plight, and then no, he's not going to, but because of the plight. But what if you were to get wounded in the Ukraine in an area where no one speaks your language, and you can't even call for help, or even worse, because you can't speak Ukrainian, they think you're a spy, and now you get some sort of corporal punishment, or something worse, because just out of suspicion and curiosity,
Yeah, exactly. Hey, there's some really good comments. If that's okay, if I draw your attention.
Do it.
Okay, well, Zane said, there are Russian crimes committed that almost make their deaths seem acceptable. However, we all know for a fact that there is nothing as a squeaky clean war, and both sides have done some stuff. War is ugly. I think there's a quote like that from Breaker Moran, where it says it wasn't so elegant. It's very chaotic, I think.
Rule 303, and when each side, as soon as they find out the rules are being broken, then they will meet you there. It's like the law of the sea is that you cannot leave another sailor, even an enemy combatant. He is not allowed to try and fight you when you rescue him, but you're not allowed to leave him. But the worst PTSD that happened to anyone was in the US fleet, in the I don't know about the Japanese, but in the German fleet, etc., was when they would break down, not at the fighting, but the thoughts that they had when they had to leave either their friends or fellow combatants in the oil, in the water, with the sharks, and watch them burning and screaming and crying for help while they just said,
imagine the morally. Imagine the guilt.
You don't recover. And you know what? No. One of the best videos that, one of the best things people can listen to, and you know what? We might even do a reaction to this. It is Dan Carlin's, the Indianapolis, about the ship that was carrying the components for the H-bomb. And when it got sunk, those men had to tread water for nearly 4 days. And when the plane came over that actually accidentally found them because they were on a secret mission so no one was coming, they actually could see people in the water getting torn to pieces by sharks, and they had to fly away and say, we'll try and come back later.
Yeah, that's a horrific reality.
Yep.
And we sit here and we talk about Ukraine, but we forget there's a reality. And we had a really great conversation about this afternoon, and mentioned to me that there'll be places where it's, people run out of bullets, it happens, then you're looking in the whites of the eye and you're back at World War II, and then, there's places that are like the Somme right now.
That's what I'm saying. This has got more in common, World War II, than what it has between Afghanistan. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a different sort of conflict than we've looked at for a long, long time.
Well, we were training our senior NCOs and officers on this 7 years ago, and the common conversation was, but it won't happen again. And now, here we are, where not only is it happening again, It looks exactly like World War II,
Yep, exactly.
and in the same locations.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So how did they not predict it would happen again?
As soon as you say that it can't happen again, it happens, doesn't it? It's like
Exactly.
an economic woe.
Yeah, exactly. Now there was another good comment
Yep.
by Bryce. Said, I'm 17 and thought I was going to go to Ukraine. But then I thought, oh, wait, I have stuff to do.
Like
And that's
live.
actually really important. You are valuable to Australia, Bryce. You're in the defence force or not. And then he went on to say, it's very easy to gain a safe confidence where you want to go there and help. You're a hero. And that's something also about.
We get.
Hey, look at BC.
Can we put a stop on the accelerator for Beezy, who's just now put down a menstrual cow donation,
That's
which will
way
be
too much with it.
it's way too much.
Shit.
You know, say as no, all of the money, every single cent, no more ever comes to me until my job is done with our chosen guys. But we don't want some people making big donations. We'd love a lot of people do $5 donations and shit, and the time for that is not yet. We're having a telethon soon where I will talk all day if I need to show my dedication to a cause. Because you know what? Let's take the ball out of the hands of conflicts and let's turn it into something beautiful and understand that a dollar here goes a long way in India and or Congo or Asia, pick your country.
Anywhere would go a long way.
If you see what these guys do for $10, you know, for an entire day, yeah, they'll walk 5 kilometres and stand on a corner with a pick, hoping to be picked up as a workforce.
I know.
You know?
We're so lazy. We whinge so much, don't we? Say we've got it so hard.
Look at me.
We don't.
My fur has fallen off because I don't need it. I live indoors.
We have it. We do. Even though at the moment, inflation, some people have a few supply problems. Like we're in the middle of a potato famine. What about you? You have a potato famine?
I don't know.
Our fish and chip shops don't have chips.
Is that right? That's the opposite, where all they had was potatoes in Ireland.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But still, right? Like we have a long way to go. Australia. But if other countries did get involved, which has, I think, on the mind of a lot of people, like, you know, the big WW3, right?
Yep.
And if other countries did get involved, Australia's in a fantastic position. You know, we've got a long way that our lifestyle before we even get uncomfortable.
It's absolutely true. It is absolutely true. But we do need to remember that at the moment we're seeing the decline of the USA. I don't think it can be turned around because what it is, it's a division between people that has got a cancer there now. And I see
divided cannot stand.
That's true. And legal, what you can legally pull the strings on is more important about than what's right and what's wrong. A great channel with integrity and respect. Cameron, mate, that's a beautiful comment. So I'm going to explain something to you really quick, and this can rub some people up the wrong way. But if people were to ask me, where do I fall? And I know we don't think the same in Australia as what we think in the USA, but it's basically, do you think radical left? Do you think left, as in like Democrat? Do you think central? Do you think right leaning? Or do you think right wing? I put myself central to leaning right. And the reason why I say that is because and I've got to be accurate with that, because even if someone on the left said there's a policy that they love, in order for me to condone that, I have to accept everything that is bad that comes with the left, that is what about me, that is you can't say that, you can't do that, I will burn this place down. You've got to have all of that. You've got to accept all of that when you vote for one of the things. So I would rather vote for, not right wing, but for leaning right and centralist. And you know what? Until your country is in trouble, the left will flourish But all of a sudden, when the
Yeah,
country is in
exactly.
trouble, all of a sudden that sucks away.
The decline began a period of very cosmopolitan society,
Absolutely
just
true.
like we have now.
Look, we're going to get out of here now because I want to leave some
Oh, yeah,
of
we're
the
out
heat.
of time.
Leave some of the heat still on the barrel. You don't want to exhaust the topic. And I want you to
It's
talk
great.
about
It's
this
been
with
a
people.
fantastic conversation. I just all night. So I
Thank
thank
you.
you for letting me.
Well, I care about the 15-year-olds and I care about the 17-year-olds because at the moment you're writing checks that maybe you can't cash.
Yeah.
Or once you
Yeah.
get there, you realise this is not what I thought. And when
It's not.
adults, this is
It's
happening
not.
to you right now. You know, think of this. Every minute you were asleep tonight, there's going to be someone either shot at, someone wounded, or someone killed.
Yeah.
Okay, in somewhere in the world that had no quarrel in that fight. So with that, guys, in conclusion, I've got videos coming out tomorrow and Sunday. I'm going to be starting to do a lot of reaction videos to hot topics you don't need to look for. I will find them to entertain you, but not in a dancing monkey kind of way, so that your channel, our channel, can move ahead, change lives, and you've got somewhere to go to. I know not all of you can make the streams. I get it. I get it. But let's have this Australian channel. Let's have a freedom of speech. And thank you, algorithm,
Yeah.
for not attacking our stream tonight.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you. We had a really
Lauren, you have a beautiful voice, says Jen.
This is not my normal voice.
She's actually a man.
No, I'm getting over a cold. It's a little husky. I sound a little Kirstie Alley.
That's from eating polar bear.
Yeah, I hope everyone has a great day. I hope I catch you all next time.
I hope we do too. And Basie, no more donations from you.
Yeah, you've
Absolutely.
done enough.
Thank you very much, mate. Especially for what you did for other members to make them members and conscript them. Thank you very much. Guys and gals, let's think tonight and take a moment to think about, as we're leading up to Anzac Day, let's start thinking about the Ukraine soldiers, the Russian soldiers, the foreign fighters that didn't realise what they're getting into. And remember, every one of them has a family member that is crying and praying for them.
Yeah.
Timmy,
awesome,
Timmy C.
Timothy.
I won't be here for the telethon, so take an early donation. I'll be in Kapuka. Timmy, let's have another talk this weekend if you can. Guys and gals, TC, thank you very much. Nutsu cow for a namaste coloured cow.
Yeah,
and
everyone, old and new.
It's a pleasure. Use your voice for good, not for evil. Start a conversation, and we're even. See you later. Bye-bye, mama just killed a man.
But it's gonna get busy.
Couldn't find a bandage, used a med. See you later, team.
I bet folks didn't know we duet.